heading to Maine, and it's about a 6-hour ride from here. I am heading up I-95, and so we own a piece of land up in Maine, and we have been clearing it since 2017 for just like some tenting and camping with the kids. The land's been like undeveloped. My father-in-law bought it in 1972. He just had this idea that it'd be a great place to go, camping with his kids or whatever. But so he bought the land, he went up, he looked at it once, he never went back. So we actually started going back up in 2017. Myself, my two other brother-in-laws, and decided to find the land, open it up. There's been no good roads to get there, just like ATV trail out to the land, off of like kind of a right-of-way or a deeded, what do you call it? So there's a small road that goes in a little ways, and it goes to another property, and off of that it forks and it goes down to a couple other properties, and one of those other properties is our property. But that's like more like an ATV trail. Well, I've been stuck on that trail for 6 hours one day, trying to get out of there. So it's been hell, and we've been trying to work on the road a little bit. Well, this 2 months ago, we were out there and I was trying to do some work on the road. I had a pretty good sized tracked skid steer, and one side of the road, like the far side, so like closer to our property, everything came out great. But closer to the other small road, everything just turned to swamp and mud, and it was gross. So the guy that owns the land and owns the road that gave us permission to use the road's not really happy about it. I was hoping it would drain out, but the water's just been holding, and the water's been building over the roadway. When I say the road, I mean the ATV trail that's now kind of like the size of a small road, or the size of, just big enough to get a pickup truck down. So the guy's not happy, so it's my busy season here, and I'm going up to Maine to go fix the damn road. I have a guy that's going to meet me up there. He's got a triaxle, and he's going to be bringing me loads of tailings and some other, 1.5-inch crushed stone to kind of firm up the road. We're going to build up over the water hole. It's going to be a big sloppy mess. I already know it. And it's going to be one of those days. So like, I'm going up today so I can start clearing the road for the truck to come in. There's some low-hanging branches and trees that have encroached on the road that comes from the paved road. It's not really, nobody ever drives it, just the people out in this cabin. They're off the grid out there, so there's just one woman that lives out there. She's the only one that ever drives the road. But yeah, he's gonna bring me loads out to the ATV trail, and then I have to shuttle them with the skid steer back and forth, which is just a nightmare. Like, talk about like the most boring day, driving loads of stone one at a time in a skid steer to go, fix this stupid road. Fellas, after 5 hours, it's been 5 hours since I left Jody's house this morning. It's 3:25 right now, and I finally have gotten to this road that leads out to the road that goes to our camp. So this is the main road that goes in. This is the one I have to cut so the guy can get out here with his triaxle. I don't have much time to do it before it gets dark. It's already 3:25, so through here I think that he won't really have too much of a problem. I'm just going to be mainly looking for like low-hanging branches and stuff in this wood area here. starts to get wooded right through here. So some of these small trees and some of these limbs I'll have to take down and chuck to the side. I think that he's just worried that he doesn't want to break any mirrors off his truck coming in here. So hopefully I can whip right down this road in the next couple hours with my chainsaw, my pole saw, and just clear it up enough for him to feel comfortable coming through. As you can see, the road here, it's not the best, but it's hard bottom, and he ought to be able to get his truck through here, I would think. And the trail from here, from this road to our camp is not really a road at all. It's all just clay, and there's no hard bottom, so he won't be going out there at all. That is the road that leads to the fork, which you can barely see right there. So the fork goes to the right, or our trail goes to the right, and the old woman goes to the left. This is the turnaround spot where the 10-wheeler is going to be dropping stuff for me. I was able to tuck my trailer out of the way and got the skid steer out, and now I have to cut the road. I don't feel like I have enough time to do it. My chain's dull, so I got to sharpen it up. I should have done it before I left the house, but I think I've got everything I need to do it. I've got like 2 hours to run down this road and just cleave it. I've got my pole saw for the higher stuff, so yeah, I'm gonna sharpen this up, and I'm just gonna be running down this road wide open. As you can see, the sun is going down. Well, I mean, the sun is down, and I just had to do the last little bit of cutting under the lights of the skid steer, but I went all the way down the road on one side, all the way back up, and now we're clear to have some loads delivered in the morning. Okay, well, I guess the guy had a right to be mad. I mean, look at this water hole. Oh my God. The water is not leaving here at all. There's nowhere for it to drain, and it's coming out of that hillside like crazy. Okay, this is where a lot of the stone's gonna go, right here. Okay, it's the next morning. This is my first load of tailings here. It doesn't really look like too big of a load, but I guess I don't know. Maybe he can't get in here with a real big truck, or maybe it's a decent load. I don't know. I just got the skid steer warming up. They got the first frost up here last night, so it's kind of chilly. I did get the road cleared last night. I was working into the dark, and I got everything cut with the chainsaw during the day, and I had to go back and with my pole saw cut everything that I couldn't reach with the chainsaw, just with the headlamp on. Yeah, so I'm gonna start moving this stuff and filling up the big water hole down there. Boy, I can't really see anything out of here this morning. It's all iced up. So good thing this one's got heat and a radio, since I'm gonna be pretty bored driving this damn thing back and forth all day. Well, this is the big water hole that I created. I guess, the guy had every right to be mad at me. That's pretty bad. This area wasn't bad at all, and all I tried to do was take a little bit out of that right side bank, and man, the water started pouring out of it, and I couldn't stop it. So I dug that trench on the side, and I dug it deep. I put the skid steer right in there, like digging hard clay to get the water to run out. And it was handling the water, but it's like a swimming pool. It's all clay. It's just holding the water. So these tailings, I'm just going to fill up as high as I can here with the tailings. And there you have it. That's one full load of tailings. It didn't go very far. This water hole is pretty deep. And this road here, as I'm tracking up and down it, is actually just getting destroyed. It's just turning into soup. So it looks like maybe 2 more loads will get me like across. and then like a fourth load to kind of go on top of everything. I don't know. It's not looking good. I was able to dig a little bit out of the side here. And now some of the water's draining. I don't have a lot of elevation to work with here. It doesn't pitch a whole lot down to there, so I'm gonna try to just dig it out a little bit more. Maybe it'll save me another load of tailings or something. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this road is turning into soup. I'm tearing this road up just driving on it. And water is just pouring out of the road, and it's coming down the road like a river. The good news is I am almost across this big water hole. The bad news is the guy is running out of tailings, and I've got only a couple loads left, so I'm probably not going to be able to do everything I wanted to do, but at least I'm getting across this area. I've got it built up pretty good now. Stone actually makes a nice base. That is super deep, so I'm staying away from the edge. I'm just going to put a little bit more in. I can't keep putting too much in here. This is my third load of tailings to get across. I have more in the third pile still up there, but the delivery guy just told me, or the guy delivering for me, just told me that he can only get a couple more loads. So I have some down the trail that I need to use. So I'm going to use this sparingly here. I'm going to go try to dig out that corner a little bit more and get the water to run out of here a little better. And then I'm tracking way down there to the next spot. So hopefully he can get me, I think he said 2 loads maybe, but possibly 3 at most. So that's a bummer. I came all the way up here 6 hours. I thought he was going to be able to get me everything I needed. So I guess all the pits are out of this stuff, the smaller stuff. So that's what we're dealing with. Yesterday was a long day. I spent a little over 12 hours inside that machine, which is pretty much hell. I mean, that machine will just beats your body to death. It's no fun running one of those things all day. You can get a decent amount of work done, but man, it's miserable. Yeah, so this is my first load this morning. I couldn't get it all done yesterday, so I had to get the motel for another night, and the sun just came up. Well, actually, so it just got daylight. It's early this morning still. This is where I put a culvert in this summer, and when I was working on this culvert this summer, I was hoping water was going to drain from this side to this side. There was a culvert before that had all collapsed, and this was all really soft and muddy. So I thought I would just put a culvert in, and well, it's all clay. So literally every time I did anything, water just weeps out of the ground and starts puddling up everywhere. And so water doesn't even care about getting through the culvert. It's just stagnant. The water just wants to be here. It can't drain anywhere. I dug this real deep with the skid steer, and it just goes down to like the grayest clay you've ever seen. So it's just a holding pond for water. Yeah, so this was a huge mess because the water kept coming up through the ground. So I barely got my truck back out of here. And every time I disturbed the ground on the whole trail, water, like this water wasn't here last night, weeps out of the ground and just starts to puddle. So I'm using these tailings to try to help firm everything up. And I've got the road This is the last spot I'm doing on this road. The rest of it is like kind of higher ground, and it's not so bad. But I'm trying to, I got to fill this in a bit, but the water, it weeps down that road. And no matter what, it doesn't, I got to shape it in a way where it can go to either side or something, because the water it's always a puddle here. I don't know. And the water just won't go anywhere. And this year we've had so much rain and water that it magnifies everything. I should have done any work on this road this year. I had no idea. Because it's never been this wet. It's always been a lot drier, and then the water can't go anywhere. But yeah, everything turns, every time I track on it, it turns into like slop, So not only am I fixing the bad areas, but now I got to go back and fix the road where I've made it bad with the machine. Not ideal. Look at this. You can see the water it's constantly just coming down the hill and running. Miserable slop. Even the tailings that they gave me are full of this, I don't know, it seems to be clay material. I don't know. And, I thought these tailings were going to be bigger than this, but there's a lot of small stuff in there. I think if it was a little bigger, I would have had an easier time. But, a lot of that stuff is just really small. Anyhow, yeah, I'm going to be at it for probably half a day today trying to do this and see how it goes. It's a long trip out here. That's the problem. It's a long trip in the skid steer to get out here. Just dug this little channel here to help. The water keeps building up here. And it's like I can't pitch it to get it to stay to one side, because it's just so hard working with the skid steer and not having a mini out here. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get rid of some of this water as I go back like that. I got to do this side a little bit. And I'll probably have to do this over here a little bit before I can start adding some to this side. So this spot, I put the culvert here. This is the spot. So we go, our land is that way. And one morning we had packed up, it was Sunday morning, and we were coming back. And it's a 6-hour ride from here to my house. So we had everything packed on the truck, and we had a lot of stuff. And we got stuck in the mud here. We got stuck in the mud for over 6 hours right here. We didn't have a shovel. We didn't have ropes. All we had was a garden trowel, a 5-gallon bucket, some chainsaws, from clearing our lot. And yeah, this ended up turning into a mess. Like, it was kind of like grown over with some grass and stuff, but man, the second I bottomed out, it just turned into mush. Yeah, so we worked at that for six and a half hours maybe. That's what a lot of this mess is here. You see, when I cleared it up, like, I got so frustrated that I just pulled out the chainsaw and I started cutting a bunch of trees up and laying them down, and we made a little bridge across here to get my truck out. And we didn't know anybody up here at the time, so we didn't have anyone we could call for help. It was Sunday, so nobody was open anyway. Yeah, so yeah, when I get in situations like that, I never feel helpless. I just feel like, you just have to figure it out and do something. So, I mean, it felt like my truck was helplessly stuck, but I knew we were going to get it out if we worked at it long enough. And that's what, so all these trees, what I pulled out of here when I put this culvert in was probably 50 years worth of boulders, trees, some PVC pipe that people had put down culvert. Like, this was the spot for the last 50 years where everybody got stuck. And it was just a mess under there. So once you got your tire sucked into the mud, it would grab a hold of a log that had been under there that someone used to get out when they were stuck, or and it would pull your tire one way or the other. So now I've dug it down deep enough where I've got this all down to hard pan clay, like the really gray stuff that's super hard. And now this will be a good spot if I can just figure out how to get the water to stay off the road and finish up here. I don't have much of these tailings left. I'm almost out. I bought everything they had, so and you can see, like, I mean, look at my load of tailings. It's mostly just like there's so many fines in it, you know, and not a lot of big stuff left. So I'm hoping this will be enough to finish. This is how I'm leaving it. You know, I can't do much with the water running. The water keeps running down this hill, and it's running down that hill, and it all just settles here. So I can't pitch this road without tearing it all up, like with this skid steer to one side, like I'd like to. So I mean, and the water's weeping out of both sides. So I'm just gonna leave this funny little thing here. It's pretty firm, so this is not a spot where I'd have to worry about getting stuck. But I just want the water to be able to run to that side and run to that side, so it doesn't all pond up here. You know, if we get a heavy rain, it might pond here a little bit, but at least I've got all this stone now to make it, you know, a firm base to drive over it. And then when this dries out and starts growing some grass over it, it's going to be really good. So now I have to clean up the rest of the road all the way down. I'll take you guys to the camp. I brought some grass seed. I don't know if it's going to be too cold for it, but I figured I'd go down to the camp and bring some grass seed and just try to spread it. Maybe by the time we come up next summer, we'll have some grass growing a little more than what we already have. This is what I'm dealing with here. So no matter how many times I fix this road and come down it, the water just leaches out of the road and out of the side. And I put 3 of those loads of stone in here. I mean, you can see this is all just slop from me tracking back over it. So there's 3 of those loads buried in here, 14 yards per load. And it took me 3 just to get across. And then I actually grabbed some big boulders as I was going back and forth and put some more in there. But yeah, it's just, you know, this is what I'm up against. This is why, like, it's firm bottom, but I mean, that's just gross. It's like pudding. And the whole road is turning into this as I track over it. So I have a lot of repairs to do on the road now. But anyhow, it's not going to look pretty, but it's hard bottom. So you won't get stuck anymore here. I can bring my truck down through here. Next summer, I'll be able to drive through here no problem. It won't be soft at all. And you know, after this freezes in a couple weeks, it'll be really nice driving through here too. So even though this will be the best condition the road's ever been in, probably, even though it looks terrible on the surface. Hey, I finally made it out to the campground. This was just a really overgrown skidder trail. But maybe it was here from the 70s or before that, and it goes down into the swamp down there. I guess they logged it out when it was frozen years ago, the other side of the swamp. But yeah, so this was the skidder trail, and we opened all this up last year. There was no flat ground. It was all like these like hummocks of you know, like root balls from trees, and there was nowhere flat. So we camped on the skidder trail initially, and that wasn't very good. So we kind of flattened up a spot last year. Really tough again because it's all clay. Like, we got down into clay and it turned into mush. So I'm hoping one year we get the drought back so it dries up. And you see right here where the spot where we're supposed to tent, it's got some standing water here. So yeah, this soil is miserable. It doesn't want to drain. But anyhow, this isn't the permanent one. So the idea is we've got a spot to put a couple tents. We've got a fire. We've got some wood drying for next year when we come up. But there's all this. So this trail goes down into the swamp, and you can't see from here, but the swamp, they call it a heath. They used to mine like peat from it for peat moss or whatever. Maybe I'll get out there and show you what it looks like. But you can overlook and see for like 100 acres, and you can just see down over it. And we own like a good bit of the swamp. So we have the wooded land and it abuts the swamp, and you can see down over it. Not so much here because it's all wooded, but up that way. So we're gonna make a trail out to that area from this is our base camp. And eventually what we want to do is build a cabin. So a real cabin, not like plywood and whatever. We want to build a log cabin. And there's a lot of these straight kind of pine trees. I don't know what kind of pine trees they are. But there's a lot of these. And matter of fact, a lot of them have like pitch bubbles on them. So I think maybe it's like a pitch pine. This one doesn't have oh, there you go. There's little bubbles in the bark. So I don't know how it's going to work for a cabin, but man, there's a lot of trees around, that consistent size and, decently straight, like not crazy straight, but like, decent enough to build a little log cabin with. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of, the dream right now. My daughters want to come up here and camp, and so we're going to build a log cabin while we camp. And it's going to be a work in progress. It's going to be probably over many years. And I brought them up here camping once. It was a disaster. We went back the next day, so that's how that went. Yeah, so I mean, the land itself it's kind of cool, but there's a lot of like, maybe it's not the best land, but so my father-in-law bought this land in 1972, and he never came back. He just bought it. He had plans to come up here camping with his family, and never ended up coming back. Life got busy, so we have made an effort. My two brother-in-laws, and myself have made an effort to start opening this up as a campsite, and we're going to start using the land just as my father-in-law intended all those years ago. So we have an 80-acre parcel here, and I think we're 1.3 miles from this point to the paved road. We've been working on the road year after year, trying to get it better to drive out here, because every year I drive my truck out here, and it's usually, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes, but I think after this year, we'll have it. We'll be able to get right out here without having to worry so much. I won't have to be scraping up my truck, that's for sure. The trees I've opened up enough to where I won't scrape my truck driving in every year. So, yep, that's it. That's the dream. I will. I'll go down the road a bit more. They have a hunting cabin down the road here, and the hunters, they come every year and they stay at this cabin. It's off the grid cabin, and they hunt, and they have permission to hunt our land too. So we're gonna go. I'll go stand at the top, and I'll show you what the swamp looks like. This is the top of the swamp, or the marsh, or whatever you want to call it. I guess the locals up here call it a heath. So down there, I guess they used to mine peat moss out of it, or whatever. But so this is the very top portion of our property. It's like there's this ATV trail in our land, kind of goes down that way. So pretty much we own, I guess, to the middle that way. And the idea is maybe, if we put a cabin up on the hill, we could overlook, this area. It'd be really cool to sit out there, drink your coffee, and see some moose go by or something. That's the dream. I don't know how many years it will take, but we got to start on it. We do a little bit more every year. You can't see it in here, but there's actually a tidal river that comes up. There's this is an inlet way up off of off of the coast of Maine, and there's a tidal river that comes up through the middle of it, and it changes a little bit with the tides, you know, as it goes up and down. But yeah, I mean, most people wouldn't be interested in owning a swamp, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like the idea of it. I'd love to be able to see some wildlife out there. Maybe after we get a cabin established, maybe we could come up and start doing a little hunting up in Maine. All right, finally, it's taken forever. I got the trail finished. I regraded the road. I regraded this parking area. At the fork down there, it goes to the left, and then it goes to what we used to call it the hermit's house. And the woman used to seem like a really bitter type of woman, but turns out she just doesn't like people. I had a good conversation with her, and I offered to help her with her driveway. And so if you go to the left, it goes like another 1 point something miles up to her house. And I used the machine and graded out her driveway. It's important for me to try to be on good terms with the landowners around here, just so everybody kind of gets along. So yeah, it worked out. She actually turned out to be like a pretty nice lady. She just lives out there by herself, and she says once it snows, she doesn't leave her house until the snow melts. So she literally lives there off the grid, all, you know, by herself through the winter in Maine, which is crazy to me. Just got the machine all loaded in. She is dirty, clay all over. And now I'm ready to finally start the 6-hour trek back home. I gotta stop and fuel up, but yeah, it should be about 6 hours.